Welcome in the Bill Michaels Huddle, back at it. Glad you're with us. Thank you very much. I'm Bill Michaels, Grant Bills alongside. Got the Packers getting ready to go into Dallas. Interesting discussion today as I was listening to actually Mike Florio and Chris Sims. I was listening to their discussion today about Jerry Jones. And and again, Jerry Jones, obviously, we know the situation, the drama that went on between him and Micah Parsons. And Jerry's kind of doubling down, saying, no, this was my best offer. No, we had a deal, that type of thing. And he's still, he's still kind of, I guess, still, for lack of a better term, he's just full of crap. I don't know how else to put it. He's, he thought he had a deal with Micah. Micah Parsons said no, involved David Megaletta, and Jerry acted like he never even knew who he was and refused to talk to him after that because he said it was a handshake deal. And Micah's like, no, how do you can't do that. You can't circumvent my guy. And Jerry got mad about it. And Jerry kept saying, well, I really like Micah as a person and this and that. And I had my best offer on the table. And, that's what happened. And I was listening to it to where they were talking about Jerry Jones and his comments about, hey, if we get kind of bored or nothing's going on, then I'm going to stir it up. And basically it's like, come one, come all, get under the big top, take a look at the circus. It's all in town. And Jerry just wants to keep churning out the money. And I don't deny that Jerry is about the money. I don't deny that. But it was people from Dallas saying that Jerry just cares about the money. He doesn't care about winning. No, Jerry cares about winning. My opinion is this. Jerry cares about winning. Jerry cares about winning his way. There's a difference. He wants to win, but he wants to win his way. So that's where that's where their opinion and my opinion differs a little bit. Because like I said, I believe that Jerry wants to win, but I believe Jerry wants to win Jerry's way and nobody else's way. And go ahead. Right. Yep. Every time Jerry speaks, every time, and I go back to when Schottenheimer got the win over the Giants, and that was his first win. And Dak Prescott is up in front of the team, and they're saying, here's what we did. And Schottenheimer's going through the statistics, 2 touchdowns, did it, and going through the whole thing. And then Dak says, it's your first one. Here you go. And he goes to hand the ball to Schottenheimer. And then the camera pans over to Schottenheimer, and there's Jerry, like right up on it. And you can see it when they hand Schottenheimer the ball, the team does. When Schottenheimer turns to Jerry like to say, hey, we did it. I got my first win. Jerry like reaches for the ball. Like he did something like I want it, and then you see him pull his hand back, but it's an awkward moment. And it is, obviously, if you watch the documentary, you get it, but it is all about Jerry. So he wants to win, but he doesn't want to win anybody else's way but his way. And that's the thing that's held this team back for a long time. Now, granted, they have gotten into the postseason. They've had opportunities. Tony Romo with the fumble, the field goal that would have given them a win. You've got Dak Prescott, who, so famously gets to a big moment in a game and will automatically throw a pick and end your hopes and dreams if you're a Cowboys fan. They've built some teams that have had capability to get there, but they've been snake bit. They just have been snake bit, and I think part of it is just the fingerprints of Jerry Jones are all over. So coming into this weekend, and we talked about this during the show today. Coming into this weekend, in all the commentary of Jerry Jones, and he's his own worst enemy by putting all this stuff out. He just should say nothing. But he's talking about Micah, and no, we're not going to do a tribute, and I don't wish him any well this weekend, but he's a good person. And like I said, if I'm Micah Parsons and I'm hearing this, I'm I'm sitting at home right now. Probably got a Surface Pro out. I'm going over things just to continue to familiarize myself with everything that Green Bay does. And I'm just sitting there eating a bucket of nails. And I'm going to walk across glass just to get out the door to go jump on a plane so I can just kind of feel it already to get down there and just kick somebody's ass. Now, I was listening as well this afternoon. It was on Fox. I can't remember what it was. But they were talking, one of the guys was a former player, and he played with the Steelers back when they went to a Super Bowl against the Packers. And I don't know who it was, but he said it was really tough because the next year he's a New York Jet, and they were facing the Steelers. And he said it took me until halftime because he said I swore my allegiance to Ben Roethlisberger. He was our leader, man. And now you're asking me to go rip his head off. And he said it took me until halftime to really get the dog back in me to go face that team and get over the fact that I was no longer a Pittsburgh Steeler. So I wonder what's going through Micah Parsons' head as he talks about Dak and, oh, Dak's my guy and my boy and all that. And you wonder what he's thinking as he gets ready to have to go out there and rip his head off and play his best game. Is it, you don't want to hurt anybody, but you also want to say, you lost out. Your defense stinks. And this thing is, I've elevated this Packers defense to a whole new level. And every time he gets a sack, every time something good happens defensively speaking, I wonder what he's going to do. Is he just going to keep, do you just, Lombardi it and act like you've been there before? Just walk back to the huddle, just strut. Or do you find the box and you look up and you point at your finger and say, no ring without me this year. Ain't happening. Ain't happening. I'm going for a ring. You guys are going to be sitting at home because you're kind of a woeful team and your defense sucks. So I wonder what his reaction is going to be to all of this. But that's what I just can't. I can't wait for Sunday night. I can't wait for it to get here. By the way, it's a Sunday night game. It's not a noon game, not a 3:25 game. Sunday night game. So we got all day to amp up for this one. All day to amp up. Oh, yeah, but I got to be honest with you. Are you a Carrie Underwood fan? There you go. I am a massive Faith Hill fan. And Carrie Underwood, this year's version of Waiting All Day for Sunday Night, just it ain't getting it. I don't know about you, but that ain't getting it. Yeah. Well, when she was walking strutting down that runway in that all leather catsuit, that was all you wrote. She could sing, she had an energy, and she had a look. And Carrie Underwood, I'm sorry, Carrie, she's a terrific singer and everything, but it's become, now they got violins back there and everything. And, it's like, what the hell? Yeah. Yeah. Chris Stapleton, that version of the Genesis song or the Phil Collins song, I Can Feel It, in the Air Tonight. That's fantastic. Right. With the drums, with that epic drum. Yeah, I mean, it's good. And it's a rockin' version. It's not that dark version like Phil Collins originally put out. It's a rockin' version. And I like that. It's really cool. Right. Right. Exactly. Exactly. But yeah, I love the Chris Stapleton version, and it goes right into the Monday Night Football theme. And I'm good with that. But yeah, the Carrie Underwood thing, I'm sorry, it just leaves a little bit to be desired. So that's just me. That's just me. No, I don't hate her. I just, for football, I find myself, and this is terrible, but I find myself sitting in front of the TV going, okay, come on, get on with it. Let's go. This is not great. Let's just go, And then it goes into the Sunday Night Football theme. And that's the, dun, dun, that's not it. That's not it. That's not it. That's it. There it is. Yeah, I had to go through all of them. I don't know what the hell's labeled anymore over here. But then it gets into that. So I'm not a fan of the Carrie Underwood thing, and then just getting into that. So anyway, no big deal. All right, let's do this. We got Mike Clemens is coming up. He's going to be joining us. And Mike up in Green Bay. Packers back to practice today. Matt LaFleur spoke early today. Mike was in the locker room, so we're going to get a lot of sound from Mike and from what the thought is coming off of this loss to the Browns. Also, we'll get the injury update coming up as well. We'll discuss that. So a lot to get to yet as we just kind of kick things off. Hey, I did want to tell people that they had a hell of a watch party last weekend. They got a big one coming up Sunday night. Smoke on the Water in Okauchee Lake, right there in Okauchee, on Okauchee, Wisconsin Avenue to be exact. But they also have some music and such during the day at Sloppy Joe's on Hubertus Road in Hubertus, Wisconsin. So you got Sloppy Joe's leading up to the game, and then Smoke on the Water. They're going to have some music and some stuff going on in between commercial breaks and music and thumping DJs and all kinds of stuff. And then they give stuff away. But that's Smoke on the Water in Okauchee. Either place, you can't go wrong. Both places, Joe and Ellen Hennis, they're absolutely fantastic people. That is Smoke on the Water in Okauchee Lake on Wisconsin Avenue in Okauchee. And then you got on Hubertus, in Hubertus, Sloppy Joe's Saloon and Spoon. That is just east of Holy Hill Road. So there you go. Two great places, great people owning it. Let's do this. We'll step out. We'll come back. Mike Clemens is going to join us. Coming up next on the Bill Michaels Huddle.
Wisconsin Sports Zone Network. Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
When you put yourself in a scoring position, you can't take yourself out of it. Yeah, and it was a whole bunch of errors spread to everybody, myself included.
An interesting comment we're going to discuss. Matt LaFleur, I thought he did everything he could, play calling wise, to get rid of the football quick. And he had a bang up offensive line. Jordan Love was a sitting duck. And then you had many times in which, the team was putting itself behind the eight ball for the fact that the false start penalties were just mounting up. Jordan Morgan with 3 of them alone. And you had a holding penalty, a couple more along the way, 14 penalties, 24 in the last 2 weeks. Joining us now on the hotline, our guy, Mike Clemens. Michael, how you doing, pal?
I'm all right. Very different kind of locker room today, which I will explain. But I thought that Matt LaFleur had an interesting breakdown after watching the tape of the loss against the Browns on Sunday. And part of the thing was, you look at the first half, and not only do the false start penalties, but then the injuries as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they screwed up by starting Zach Tom at right tackle. Here, this guy's got this oblique. He'd missed the week before. And I played that clip in an interview with him on Friday's show that they said, do you think you'll be, when do you think you'll know? And he says, ask me tomorrow.
Right.
And then LaFleur said, it's hard to simulate, I guess we couldn't find out until he got in the game. And to me, if your replacement is young guys like Jordan Morgan, or Anthony Belton, then just give them all the snaps in practice and just make them start against the 0-2 Browns. And I think Eric Baranchek said this on the show on Monday, after watching the tape. They spent way too much time worried about Myles Garrett. Triple team him, right?
Yeah.
Didn't he say that?
Yeah.
So maybe a lesson learned there. So Matt LaFleur was asked about the injuries and the offensive line and his false start penalties. How much did that kill them at the start of the game in Cleveland against the Browns?
So there was basically 3 possessions in the first half. We went 3 and out on our first possession, and I thought we had an opportunity there on the third down to get a first down. The second drive, we drove down. We had a 3rd and 4. We had a false start penalty. So we ended up settling for 3. And then the third drive, we got to the 38-yard line, and then we got bludgeoned by, I think there was 3 penalties. I think there was a sack in that. And so you're not giving yourself an opportunity. I would say from my perspective, at halftime, I think, especially after going and looking at the tape, I thought it felt a lot worse than what it was, but certainly wasn't clean enough.
Mike, I know it was almost like people were listening because I heard today during his presser, somebody said, well, did you make them run? How do you fix the concentration issues? That's just it. How does Matt LaFleur going, because we've seen this before. Concentration things that's fixable because it's just a matter of a guy concentrating for the full 60 minutes and not 54. So how do they fix this stuff?
Well, and that's the thing is that, the first, with perfect hindsight, it's like maybe we should game plan around Aaron Banks, not start him. Let's put in healthy guys and work them all week and get them up to the game. And so, first you got Zach Tom dropping out, then you got Banks dropping out. And, he talked about how he had to use the second-year guy Jordan Morgan in 3 different spots in the first half. I mean, how much confusion have you got going on there? And you're going against a very good defensive line with Jim Schwartz as a defensive coordinator. So today, I asked Jordan Love, as the quarterback, is it your cadence? What's causing the false starts? I also know the false starts are caused by when you're a heavy motion team and, one guy jumps because you're still waiting for him to come behind you for a fake jet sweep. These kinds of things. I asked him, as the quarterback with your cadence, what are things you can do to try and get that team out of the huddle and in rhythm and not jumping and getting a flag for a false start?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different things, whether it's just, like you said, we got a lot of motions, different things where you got to go on longer snap counts. Sometimes it's the D-line, making, move calls, stunt calls, things like that, where the O-line might, get triggered by that loud noise. So there's a lot of different things, but it's an area where, the whole offense, we just got to do a good job locking into the snap count and just focusing on that.
That's it, Mike. I mean, say what you want. I mean, it's focus. It just is. I remember when this went on, when they had 18 penalties down in Chicago, and they were getting pass interference and such, but it was false start penalties constant. And Mike McCarthy just went nuts the next week on guys concentrating and things like that. So it can be fixed, but they got it. They got to get it done. 24 penalties in 2 weeks. It's unacceptable.
Yeah, and so what the funny thing is, I talked about all through camp, like with the injuries you got, with your starting quarterback now with the thumb surgery, and not 100% there for a couple of weeks, and guys in and out that, it got to be the last week before you got to see what the real starting offense looked like. So they put off this incredible performance against the Lions. Well, it turned out the Lions were playing September football. It turns out the Lions were giving you a preseason performance when they came to Green Bay. Because look how they turned it around the other night against the Ravens. Oh, my God. Yep. They look like last year's Lions and even better. So there's these teams that, you had a better first couple of games in the way that you executed, but now these teams are coming around. And then, of course, you played into the Browns' hands. You played down to the Browns. So then I went to Elton Jenkins playing at center. And, he was talking about, something, I'm used to being more aggressive at left guard. And I can't do that while I'm over the ball at center, which I found interesting. Even though he's played lots of center, he's having to adjust by week 3 over the ball at center. And he didn't get a lot of snaps during camp. So I said to him, when I talked to Scott Wells, the Super Bowl center for 45. He was in town with the Players Union about what that center's got to do in terms of declaring where the Mike linebacker is, and the declarations the center makes, not only to his fellow guards and tackles, but also it sets up where's the free safety. And Josh Jacobs is going to be hearing that declaration. It sets up all the blocking or where the hole might be. And I talked to him about, to Elton Jenkins at center, about the importance of that declaration.
Yeah, for sure. You definitely got to be able to communicate and just get everybody on the same page. That's really the main thing, and getting the ball to the quarterback. Because if you got free hitters and the ball not to the quarterback, you have a bad day, honestly. So, that's one of the things I try to take pride in, making sure we all on the same page so we can go out there and play fast.
Mike, one of the other things is the fact that I think they overlooked the Browns. They were talking, we heard all the talk about, possibly going undefeated and Super Bowl and what capability. And plus, they were probably reading the press clippings and all the praise. They went to number 1 in a lot of people's power rankings. So I think a little bit of that bit them too.
Absolutely. Now we got a little bit of drama going on here because they felt so good after beating the Lions and then beating the Commanders on Thursday night and then having that little mini weekend and coming up. And now they're going to play the 0-2 Browns. And how bad did the Browns look? That you had guys being a little bit more loose. And, Rasheed Walker is a guy who did not talk much. He's, coming in a left tackle, winning that job over Yosh Nijman, replacing David Bakhtiari, holding down that position all those many years. Didn't talk much. And so then, remember I told you when they took him out on the tailgate tour, let's get him out in the public. This guy could be the future left tackle of this team. Let's get him out in the public. And so he did some public speaking for them, kind of bringing this big guy out of his shell. Penn State player, teammate was Micah Parsons in college. And then, remember what happened when he got very vocal in camp and started yelling at Enoch Bari and that LaFleur, who didn't want to see these kinds of engagements end up in flags or disqualifications, and he made him take a lap in front of everybody,
Right. Yep.
and all that. So all of a sudden, now he's in the doghouse. Well, he's still feeling, he feels like he's supposed to be more of a vocal leader. And here's what he said last week about, hey, you're 2-0, and now you're headed to Cleveland to take on the Browns.
I feel like we've been playing pretty clean. As a team, not the fact, we've been playing pretty clean. But as far as the offense, I feel like O-line's been doing good. Jordan Love's been playing phenomenally. I mean, we've all just been playing this thing, executing. That's why we 2-0 right now. And then the goal is to, keep it going. I think we can go undefeated.
Well, you got to win the next one, I guess. And I know that has been Matt LaFleur's preach for a long time. But it seems like you can go one of two ways with this, because on one hand, you can say, okay, we obviously got our clock clean, and boy, this was a terrible game, and yada, yada. This is also a chance to teach and say it's one game at a time. Anybody can beat you on any given Sunday and put the train back in the tracks.
Yeah, so... And they even had Micah Parsons saying, hey, I think this is a Super Bowl team, right?
Right.
This is all setting up for your little trip to Cleveland, and you lose to the Browns in the fashion that you did. So today, I went to the new and improved Rasheed Walker to talk about some of these things about offensive line, false starts, and also I wanted to talk about this. I've been waiting on this story for this very week, because every week, that there's always some assistant coach that used to work for the coach or the team that you're playing. Or, this one is obviously glowing. This week, you've got a 10-year veteran, Kenny Clark, over there with the Cowboys, telling everything he knows about the offensive line to the guys in Dallas. And in the meantime, you've got Micah Parsons telling these guys everything he knows about the defensive personnel. Now, Eberflus is the third coordinator in 3 years in Dallas, between Dan Quinn, Mike Zimmer, and Eberflus down there under Schottenheimer. So today, I went to Rasheed Walker to talk about this tape. Here's the gist of the interview, Bill.
Okay.
Versus, Micah, how much does that help you in your prep, or do you just have to stick to what you see on tape?
It's all on tape.
That was it, Bill.
That's all you're going to get. That's it.
Because the next three questions that I asked him were nods, yes and no. And he wasn't being a jerk to me. The eyes just said to me, I'm not saying a thing.
It's all on tape.
I got chewed out.
Yeah.
He's like, it's not you, Mike. I'm not saying a word.
Yeah.
I'm not saying a word.
Matt LaFleur was emphatic about that this week at the podium, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He talked about that. That comment ticked him off. Do I have a clip on that? Yeah.
This league is such a week-to-week league, and you can never lose sight of that. And you can't take any moment, any game for granted. The goal is to go 1-0 every week. And it pisses me off when we start talking about things outside of the next game, things that are way down the road.
Yeah, he's and for a team that started kind of reading its own press clippings, this was the let's bring you back to center. Let's do this. We'll step out. We'll take a quick break. Mike Clemens on the line. He's up in Green Bay, coming out of the Packers locker room from earlier today. Stay tuned. We got a whole lot more of the Bill Michaels Huddle. More with Mike Clemens coming up next. Let we go.
This is the Huddle with Bill Michaels on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Well, I just think this league is such a week-to-week league, and you can never lose sight of that, and you can't take any moment, any game for granted. The goal is to go 1-0 every week, and it pisses me off when we start talking about things outside of the next game, things that are way down the road.
Matt LaFleur not happy with the way his team kind of handled things last week. He's back at it now, getting his team ready for this week, and joining us up in Green Bay, coming out of the Packers locker room, Mike Clemens is here. And Mike, and Matt was obviously emphatic about that. And you've got, a big game coming up against the Cowboys, an emotional return for Micah Parsons. Jerry Jones is out talking on his radio show, almost doubling down on, I'm not going to have a video tribute. Mike is a great person. We had a deal. I didn't, yada, here we go again. So I wonder what kind. I cannot wait to see what Micah Parsons. I said Mike earlier today. I don't know if you heard it. Where if I'm Micah Parsons, I'm at home. I'm eating a bucket of nails and walking across broken glass just to get as angry as I can coming into this game coming up on Sunday. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, last Thursday afternoon, we were standing around the locker room. There were some TV reporters there, and they kind of turned to me like, okay, we talked about Myles Garrett. We talked about Joe Flacco. We talked about that new running back. Are we missing? Is there some story we're missing here? I said, no. I said, there's no juice here this week. There's none. The juice is next week. Cowboys and then the bye. And boy, the juice is here now because NBC was here today. ESPN is here today. And, Jerry Jones, listen to this. I found this interesting because, he's still trying to explain why in the hell did you trade Micah Parsons for 2 first rounds, and this big contract that Gutekunst was willing to pay him $188, and Kenny Clark. You got Kenny Clark out of the deal. And so Jerry claims, look, we just paid Dak Prescott, and we just paid CeeDee Lamb, and as I'm always looking ahead. This is Jerry on the Fan in Dallas.
after having done Dak, after having done Lamb, looking ahead at who we were going to want to do, which is very important here. Looking around the corner and see if the players we've got who we're going to put in our top 6 or 7 salary-wise. We did all of that, and it came up the trade.
Looking back, doing it over again, would you have traded him earlier in the offseason?
No, not at all. Not at all. We needed this timing. We needed to be right here at the beginning of the season, in my mind, to get the highest value. I heard people talking about, well, why didn't you trade him back before the draft? Because draft picks become the most valuable timing-wise. You can have them in the offseason before the draft. That's when the pick becomes much more valuable, and the player becomes less valuable if you're trading a player for potential picks. So I knew the time to get the picks was while this season was available to whoever got Micah. Having said that, the timing was right when it should have been.
Do you understand that?
Absolutely not. He's trying to make something happen that isn't.
Well, he claims he can get more value if he waited for this deal in September than if he did it like around the time of free agency or going into the draft. To me, people got money, in March.
And AFC teams would have got in on it. Why would you trade him to an NFC team if you didn't have to? And he's so full of crap. And this is the reason they're in the situation they're in.
Well, and Jerry goes on and on in this interview to talk about, I've been doing this 30 years. It's like he's playing cards, all through the year. Mm-hmm. He's always making moves, as opposed to, let's get this thing locked in so you kind of know who your team is going into training camp. Micah was asked, how do you feel about walking into that stadium Sunday night and, knowing that they're not going to be a scheduled tribute for your welcome home?
I think Dallas loves me. I think they're going to give me a good round of applause. And, there's no hard feelings there, at least for me. And I think it's going to be, like I said, it's going to be a great atmosphere. I think, this is some of the best football you're going to get in Dallas when it's Sunday night against, a rivalry opponent.
And like I said, I can't wait to see how his reaction is and how tenacious he is, and to see what Mike, I really want to see what happens when he gets a sack. If he points up to Jerry's box, or he does some kind of a dance, or he just Lombardi's it and acts like he's been there before.
It's going to be such a great show. Now, someone who's not going to be there anymore, and, the timing of this is interesting. You come off of the Browns loss, and they're always working out players. Now, McCole Hardman, number 6, training camp, they showed videos of him catching deep passes and returning and all that. And he didn't have the best preseason, whatever, but there he was. And then Jaden Reed goes down, and you're still waiting for Christian Watson to come back. And you thought, well, certainly they're going to activate him, bring him up from practice. No, they're perfectly happy with Malik Heath over McCall Hardman. Hardman is 27 years old. And just a week ago, we were talking to him about what was it like? You got those 3 Super Bowl rings when you were with the Chiefs. Remember, he caught the one in overtime to get the win. Talk about those days.
That play was a great play. It was good to have your number called in that time. But it just shows that you've been on the biggest stage before, that you can make plays on the biggest stage, and they can have confidence on you, knowing that the lights won't be too bright for you. So just to have that in your back pocket is pretty good. But yeah, all I can do is just focus on now and in the future.
Yeah, he's got to focus on his future, not here, because that's all she wrote.
Well, yeah, and he was at 27. He was the veteran in your receivers room right now. So, and the coaches are like. So we asked him about that. Do you realize that you're 27 years old? You may just be one move away in the NFL.
Whoever they draft and whoever they bring in, that's their decisions. But as far as on my end or any other receiver, all we can do is come in and work hard and make plays, and whatever happens. Whatever it gets to, then you go from there.
Well, so he's gonna have to find a place to do it.
Yeah, the Packers worked out a Jacoby Keeney James, undrafted from UMass, 4.37. 4.3740, who was in the camp with the Lions, and of course the Lions are deep at wide receiver. They cut him, and Goody signs him and drops Hardman from the practice squad.
Man.
A lot of shuffling going on. They're trying to figure out a chemistry mix right now, and we'll see. We'll see what happens. Mike, what's real quick? Any update injury-wise as to who you think will not be playing in this contest coming up?
Yeah, not yet, because I really haven't had a chance to study the injury report today. But obviously they're going to be holding out all week long to get to get Zach Tom question set aside, or do you just rest him now and work the younger guys and then you got the bye week right before you get into the long part of the season, and maybe that was going to be the smart thing to do on that side. As for safety, Javon Bullard, he's still in the protocol for a concussion he suffered against the Browns.
Great stuff, Mike. We will talk again on Friday, and we'll get kind of the update then, okay?
Talk to you then, pal. Thank you.
Appreciate it, bud. There you go. That's Mike Clemens joining us for a couple of minutes on the hotline, giving us the update live and in Green Bay. And Mike will join us again for an extended portion of the program on the Bill Michaels Show on Friday in the 1 o'clock hour. So looking forward to that, as well as what we're going to be broadcasting live out there in La Crosse for Oktoberfest coming up on Friday morning, Friday afternoon, midday, and then Friday afternoon with Grant as well. So we got a lot of coverage of Oktoberfest coming up. So we got an hour down. Coming back, Mark Schofield, SB Nation. Then we're going to have dive into some of our picks. Maybe we get a chance to hear from maybe Micah Parsons or Jordan Love at some point. Who knows? Maybe we'll try to squeeze that in. Stay tuned, though. 1 hour down, another hour yet to go. The Bill Michaels Huddle continues on. More coming up right after this.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, it's back to on-field work for the Packers today as they get ready to head to Dallas on Sunday night. They will do so without the services of right tackle Zach Tom. He's dealing with an oblique injury suffered in Week 1. He managed to make it just one play against Cleveland on Sunday before needing to leave. ESPN reporting he will not play. Meanwhile, one big story this week going to be Micah Parsons returning to Dallas, where he spent his first 4 years before being traded last month. Coach Matt LaFleur said he wasn't worried about Parsons trying to do too much this week.
Whether it's Week 1 of the regular season or you haven't get in the playoffs or the Super Bowl, whatever, you got to come in with the same mindset. And yeah, obviously you got to know what you're going against, but the focus always comes back to us and what we got to do and how we need to go out there and perform, and the focus and concentration that we need to have. It's less about those guys.
Kick on Sunday is at 7:20. Turning to Wisconsin, they're on their bye week after falling at home to Maryland last Saturday. Athletic Director Chris McIntosh came out and gave Coach Lou Fickell a vote of confidence, despite the Badgers having not beaten another Power 4 team in 11 months. The Badgers will return for the bye next week when they travel to number 18 Michigan.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
You may know Rural Mutual Insurance as the #1 farm insurer, but did you know they also offer competitive home, auto, business, and life insurance? They make it convenient to bundle your insurance while saving you time and money. Visit ruralmutual.com to learn more.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Well, the Brewers and Padres finishing out their series this afternoon as Milwaukee looks to avoid being swept. Despite losing last night, their magic number to clinch the top record and home field advantage dropped to 2 with a Phillies loss. After they, Brewers will head home to close out the regular season against the Reds. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil.
Are you ready for some football? He talks green and gold.
Look at the 8!
This is the Huddle with Bill Michaels.
Good evening. Bill Michaels Huddle. This Wednesday night, we are so glad you are with us. Myself, Brand Bills. We just had Mike Clemens. We're in hour number 2. Picks are coming up. We're going to hear from either Micah Parsons or Jordan Love coming up here
in about 15, 20 minutes. So stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, we go around the rest of the National Football League, start with the NFC, basically, getting him on the hotline. Our guy, Mark Schofield from SB Nation, joining us. And Mark, man, how you doing?
I am doing well, Bill. Fantastic to be with you as always.
We are still a little bit shell-shocked, I have to be honest, that the Packers ended up getting beat by the Cleveland Browns in that fashion. I mean, it was to watch their defense, which we all know they got a playoff caliber defense in Cleveland, but to see them rattle Jordan Love, and I was talking earlier, Dan Orlovsky on ESPN said Jordan Love needs to grow up. He needs to mature. You can't be just making errant throws and hopping around and not being able to take the pressure. It's one thing to be a quarterback in the pocket. It's another thing when your team needs you the most to fold like the way he did. It's time to grow up. So give me your assessment first and foremost of that particular dynamic right now that the Packers are dealing with.
I mean, I just get a sense that's a fair assessment from Dan Orlovsky, who obviously knows all there is to know about playing quarterback in the NFL and what it takes to be successful and what you need to do as a quarterback in and out of the pocket. And I think what you saw on Sunday was, you know, and it played out sort of in climactic fashion. That interception that he threw was born out of what Dan Orlovsky was talking about. Yes, he was sacked a bunch in that game. Yes, they were getting pressure on him. Yes, they were starting to rattle him in the pocket, and you would see him start to speed up his process. But on that interception, it plays out in the view of everyone to see, because you got that sort of double China 7 concept, 2 in a row from the outside, tight end at number 3, running the corner route. The corner route is wide open. If he just gives it a second to throw it, we're having a different conversation right now, I think. But because of everything that happened in the plays and in the 3+ quarters leading up to that moment, all the hits, all the pressures, all of that sort of added up, he speeds himself up, throws the slant route early, doesn't give that corner route a chance to develop, and you get the interception of a game-changing play. That's part of life in the NFL as a quarterback. You have to, at times, be willing to stay in there an extra beat longer in the pocket, knowing you might get hit, and it's not going to be fun. But that's the job. You know, that's the job that you get paid a lot of money to do. And it's not comfortable at times. There are times where it goes against all sort of, you know, human emotion and thought and rational thinking. I know I'm going to get hurt. It's not going to feel good, but that's the job. And he didn't do it on that play. And, you know, it wasn't the only reason they lost that game. That was one play of many. But that's an easy one to point to and say you need to be better in moments like this.
On the outside looking in, and there's an opinion here in the state of Wisconsin and Packers Nation, but on the outside looking in, we have seen Jordan Love play extremely well. We have also seen him make some really errant throws and just some inexplicable throws. In your opinion, this is his 3rd year under center, 6th year in the league. This is when it's supposed to click for him. Is the jury still out on how good he can be, or do you think we are now approaching the ceiling and some of the flaws you're just going to have to live with when it comes to Jordan Love playing quarterback?
You know, I think the jury is still out, but they're close to being done deliberating. Let's put it that way. I don't think we've sort of hit a ceiling. I don't think that this is what he's just going to be and you have to live with it. I still think there is room for improvement, but in year 3 of being a full-time starter, you know, at some point we're flipping the page from this is what you can be to this is what you are. I don't think we're flipping that page yet. I think that page turn comes later in the season as we get closer to the end of this 3rd year. But yes, these are the types of moments where he needs to be better, where he needs to step up and make the plays that a quarterback in the NFL who is going to supposedly lead a team to a Super Bowl, that is going to be one of the top upper echelon quarterbacks in the league, that you have to be willing to stand in the pocket and make. So I don't think we're close to being, you know, determinative on where he is as a quarterback, but we are approaching that moment here in year 3 of him as a starting quarterback.
So the Packers head down to Dallas this week, and we know that Jerry Jones has already opened his mouth saying it, but he wishes Micah nothing but the best except for this weekend. And we know he's back to kind of creating his own narrative about the negotiations and how he had a deal and did, you know, blah, blah, blah. I said today, I got to think that Micah Parsons is at home eating glass, walking on, you know, across a bed of nails, just seething ready for what's going to go on down there in Dallas this weekend. The over and under, I'd say 2.5 sacks, 2 sacks in the game maybe 3 pressures. Do you think that Micah goes down there and becomes a one-man wrecking crew this Sunday, and the Packers run away with a win after watching the Dallas Cowboys get beat by the Chicago Bears? Or do you think that maybe we're making too much of this triumphant return, so to speak, to Dallas this weekend with the offense and specifically the offensive line of the Packers being questionable?
I mean, I think we're going to see a very good game from Micah Parsons, and I do think the Green Bay Packers win this game. Is it going to be sort of a runaway? I think there's that potential, given what we've seen from Dallas, some of the injuries that they're dealing with, CeeDee Lamb, some of the question marks about that team. Certainly getting steamrolled by Chicago doesn't give you confidence in where Dallas is right now. The only thing preventing me from saying it's going to be the full-on blowout that Packers fans are hoping for is, like you said, the state of the offensive line, dealing with injuries. You look at the sacks that Jordan Love took in that game, all of them came with 4-man pressures. When you're losing one-on-ones up front like that, Dallas, even after the Parsons trade, has some players that can win a one-on-one here and there. And so, I don't know if it'll be the blowout that Packers fans are hoping for, but I do think we're going to see a very big game from Micah Parsons. I mean, I think you're exactly right about that. I'm sure he wants to go down there. It's the ultimate, you think you were right about me? Let me show you why you were wrong type of game for an NFL athlete. And so I think he'll have a very good game. I think the Packers win this game comfortably, but maybe not a blowout given some of the issues that they're dealing with up front.
With what the Lions did the other night on Monday Night Football to the Ravens, handing them one of their toughest defeats in a while, and to be able to just run the ball almost at will, 4 touchdowns on the ground, tying a franchise record against their defense, are the Lions now, because some people were questioning the Lions, and then in week 2 they looked pretty good against what we all figured was a rather inept Bears team, and they went in there and beat the hell out of the Lions. The score is a little bit closer than what actually was the indicator. Give me your thoughts on where the Lions are right now.
That was a very impressive performance. It was a very impressive performance on both sides of the ball. You sacked Lamar Jackson 7 times. They did some things in that game that, sort of had him rattled at times. Sometimes it was a 3-man rush with a spy, but they were taking options away from him in the downfield passing game. So he was trying to create, but they were very disciplined up front in their rush lanes, the Lions were. I thought it was a very impressive defensive performance. You get another fumble from Derrick Henry punching the ball out there. That was a big moment. And then just beating that Ravens defensive front up, and running the ball the way they did. Like you said, the 4 touchdowns on the ground. And then quintessential Dan Campbell, you have the 4th and 2 near midfield, late, leaves the offense on the field. You go play action, you get a big play. It was a very impressive performance from Detroit. And I think, like you said, they win in week 2, but you're wondering about, okay, how good is Chicago really? Maybe that's not a statement type of win. This was a statement win from Detroit. And, I still think we've got a lot of football left to be played. We're not even to October yet. But as far as wins go, hard to see a better one from a team in the NFL than what the Lions did on Monday night.
Go to the Vikings game, 48-10. Now, 14 of those points were scored defensively, a pick 6 and then a fumble by the same cat, by the way, who picked up a scoop and score. So 14 points scored by the defense. But Carson Wentz didn't look bad. He had a 129.8 quarterback rating with a couple of touchdowns. Jake Browning threw 2 picks in that ball game. Cincinnati's defense absolutely positively sucks. What did we learn about Minnesota, if anything?
Yeah, I don't know if we learned much, right, Bill? I mean, I think the big takeaway from that game is without Joe Burrow, Cincinnati is in a serious load of trouble. I mean, Jake Browder certainly doesn't look like the answer, as much as I still want to believe in Brett Rippon. I'm not sure he's the answer, with Joe Burrow down. That defense, like you said, had some serious problems. So I don't know what, if anything, we learned about Minnesota. What you might say we learned is a confirmation, yes, that defense is going to cause some problems. And if it's a scenario where they can get up by 2 scores and they can unleash their blitz packages and get after a quarterback and do the things that Brian Flores likes to do, they're going to be very tough to face. So, maybe we get some confirmation there. As far as the Wentz piece of it, he looks good against a bad defense and a team that was starting a backup quarterback. And if you get him a 2-touchdown lead early, he can win you a game. He can ice a game for you. I want to see what it's like if he has to do more, if they have to ask him to do more in the passing game. So I'm not going to sort of pass any judgment on, what, if anything, we learned about Carson Wentz. I think Sunday was just yet more confirmation that, if they're put in a good situation, that defense is going to be a big problem for opposing quarterbacks and offenses.
Talk about the Bears, because the Bears obviously beat the Packers' upcoming opponent in Dallas, and Dallas was out of this game. I mean, that was as good as Caleb Williams has ever looked. They had a flea flicker in there, which had Ben Johnson's thumbprint all over it. It seemed like things started to come together. If you listen down in Chicago, they think that was kind of like their Super Bowl, all of a sudden the coming out party. But where do you look at the progress of Caleb Williams with Ben Johnson as the head coach and finally get them? They got 2 wins on the season. So where do they? Excuse me, they're 1-2. They got to win on the season. Ben Johnson's first win, but 31-14, nothing to sneeze at.
No, nothing to sneeze at. And I think, look, Ben Johnson was announced January 22nd of 2025. And since that announcement, this was the type of performance that Bears fans were hoping to see from Caleb Williams. I mean, that was why he was hired, to get the best version of Caleb Williams. And we saw that on Sunday. It was, by a number of different metrics, his best game in the NFL. Quarterback rating was the best it was in a single game. Adjusted yards per attempt, best it was in a single game. 4 touchdowns, tied a career high. He looked very good in this game against a defense that they certainly put on their heels. Ben Johnson, for everything that's been written and said about him as a play caller, play designer, that was a very good game that he called. They had that secondary very confused at times, particularly on that flea flicker. And I think it was a big step forward for Caleb Williams in this offense, a big step forward for Ben Johnson. I think a long way to go. And this might be a game that on the other side of the ball sort of confirmed where the Cowboys are not right now. So maybe ultimately,
go ahead.
Maybe ultimately this is more a referendum on Dallas than anything else, but I do think it was a big step forward.
And we'll find out really kind of how far that referendum goes coming up this Sunday. But one of the bigger stories coming out of the NFC, the benching of Russell Wilson. They're going to I believe it's Jackson Dart now. He's going to get to start, and you're throwing a young guy in, hoping he can save the franchise. Brian Dable needs wins. Mara's ready to fire him. He needs wins, and he's got a franchise guy, which I always think the recipe for disaster is when you have a coach that's on his way out, bringing in a new quarterback as to whether or not to start him right away, and hopefully he saves the franchise. Usually you fire a coach, you bring the coach and the new quarterback in together so they can grow together, but they decided to stick with Dable just to give him one last gasp, and now he's making a change to try to save his job. Is this the right move for the Giants, do you think? Because to me, I think so, only for the fact that clearly Russell Wilson just doesn't have it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I think that end game sequence from Russell Wilson was the kind of moment where I think it really forced Dable into playing the last card he has to play. When you're down 22-9 with about 3 minutes left, you're in the low red zone, and your quarterback throws it away 3 times. I mean, Wilson said on 4th down he was trying to make a play, but that looks like a throwaway to me.
Right.
You can't run him back out there and expect to keep the locker room. If you're one of the other 52 guys on the roster, putting it all on the line, and you see your quarterback doing that, and the head coach runs them back out there, that's not going to go over well. So I think Dable was left without a choice here. And yes, you're starting them at home, but it's against a 3-0 team in the Chargers. And yes, you get the Saints next week on the road, a game that you think Jackson Dart might be able to get you to a win in. But then you get Philly, Denver, Philly. That's a very tough stretch coming up. And this is part of the reason that people like myself, and I know I said this earlier this season, we didn't expect to see Jackson Dart this early. We expected to see him. You got to run him out there at some point this year. But with this tough stretch they have to begin the season, it didn't make sense to play him unless you absolutely had to. Well, given what we saw late in that game against Kansas City Sunday night, it looks like Brian Dable had no choice.
Now, let's talk about the Philly team right now, because 33-26, they get a win over the Rams. The Rams played tough for a majority of the game. Is Philly just they're just the champs, and they're just that good, and they know how to win, and they've just kind of figured it out, so they don't have to look pretty. They just, as long as they keep stacking W's, nobody really cares. Are they still seemingly the best team in the NFC?
I think so, and I think this was in a way, an important win for Philly, because if you think back to headed into the playoffs last year, one of the knocks on them, can they throw the ball when they need to get back into a game? And they did. They threw the ball 60% of the time. And they did. They threw the ball 60% of the time. And they did. They threw the ball 60% of the time. And they did. They threw the ball 60% of the time. And they did. They threw the ball 60% of the time. And they did. They threw the ball 60% of the time. And they did. They threw the ball 60% of the time. And they did. They threw the ball 60% of the time. And they did. They threw the ball 60% of the time. And they did. They threw the ball 60% of the time. And they did. They threw the ball 60% of the time. And they did. They threw the ball 60% of the time. And they did. They threw the ball 60% of the time. And they did. They threw the ball 60% of the time. And they did. They threw the ball 60% of the time. And they did. They threw the ball 60% of the time. And they did. They threw the ball 60% of the time. And they did. They threw the ball 60% of the time. And they d Yeah, I think that was sort of a question about Hurts in this passing game, because their passing game, like in the first half on Sunday against the Rams, late last season, wouldn't quite click it the way Eagles fans wanted it to. Now, look, Jalen Hurts had a fantastic game in the Super Bowl, but they were ahead in that. This was different. You're down 19-7 at the half. You're down, 26-7 early third quarter. You had to throw to get back in the game. And Hurts was fantastic. Once they went down that 26-7 early third quarter, he was lights out since that moment. And he talked about it after the game, Bill. He said, look, we just showed that we've got another way we can win a football game. I think that was important for this Eagles team and kind of scary for the rest of the league. It's like, oh, well, if you're slowing down Saquon and you're limiting him and you get up big, you're still not safe, because now, it's like when Happy Gilmore learned to putt. Now they can throw themselves back into a game too. And I think it was important that way. So, yeah, here we are end of September. I still think they're the team to beat in the NFC.
You got the Eagles undefeated. You've got the Chiefs, who are somewhat reeling. You've got the Colts, who are undefeated. The Colts, I think we all expect them at some point or another with Daniel Jones to kind of step on themselves. But the Buccaneers are 3-0. The Buccaneers look really, really good. Now, granted, they only beat the Jets 29-27, and they're the lowly Jets with no wins on their docket right now. But the Buccaneers are kind of figuring it out, and they're starting to get guys back. So give me your thoughts on where the Buccaneers fit into the NFC overall.
Yeah, we talked about Tampa Bay, last week, about how, they might be a team to certainly keep an eye on here. Like you said, they lose Evans, but they're going to get Godwin back. They're finding ways to win. They're finding ways to come back late when they need to, like they did against Houston with that final drive. That's a team that I think has put themselves at the sharp end of the stick when it comes to things in the NFC. And again, it's September, it's still early, but you start thinking about teams you don't want to face, and I'm going to have a game, late season playoffs. Tampa Bay's a team right now looks like one of those you do not want to face, because they find ways to win. They certainly believe in Baker Mayfield, and that's a huge thing for a football team. And so you start thinking about teams you don't want to face down the stretch. Tampa Bay's certainly on that list.
Yeah, no doubt. You've got 5 teams in the National Football League that are still undefeated. The Colts, I had mentioned, the Chargers, who are sitting at 3-0, and they've had a resurgence, and they look like the team to beat, or at least one of them, over in the AFC. But I just don't know if I can really believe in San Francisco with all the injuries that they have taken on. And I don't know if they're going to be able to sustain throughout. And obviously, the Eagles are the defending champions. They're undefeated as well. So out of those teams, it's like, man, you got a couple that you can believe in and a couple that you think it's just smoke and mirrors at this point. We'll have to wait and see. Mark, great stuff as always, pal. I appreciate it. And we'll talk again next week, okay?
Looking forward to it already, my friend. Enjoy the games this week.
There you go, Mark Schofield. We will. Always good to catch up with Mark. Let's do this. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break. We're going to come back, and we'll try to get either Micah Parsons or Jordan Love sound for you when we come back. Stay tuned. We got a whole lot more of the Bill Michaels Huddle coming up right after this.
This is the Huddle with Bill Michaels on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Bill Michaels Huddle on this Wednesday night. We are glad that you are with us. Getting you ready for tomorrow night. You got Thursday night football. Back at it. Packers, by the way, tomorrow night it's the Seahawks and the Cardinals. Packers then travel on Sunday night to take on the Cowboys. You've got two games next Monday. The Jets travel to the Dolphins, two 0-3 teams. It couldn't be any more crap than that. And then you've got the 2-1 Bengals, who just got blown out by Minnesota, going on the road to take on the 1-2 Broncos, which looked like a good game at the beginning of the season. And now it's just, both of those games on Monday night stink. Sunday night game should be good. And a Thursday night game tomorrow night will be at least, at the very least, interesting. And then you've got the game over in Dublin, kicking things off on Sunday morning, the Vikings and the Steelers. But in the meantime, Micah Parsons meeting with the media. Take a listen to what Micah Parsons had to say today.
What it's going to be like to come out of the tunnel in that stadium, wearing a different uniform and the other opponent and all that?
Yeah, I just feel like it's just going to be another game for me. Obviously got a lot of ties there, but, I think the atmosphere is going to be great. I kind of know what a Packer-Green Bay game looks like, and I know the fan base is going to be pretty rowdy. So I'm just excited for a competitive matchup on Sunday night prime football,
Do you feel like there's added fuel going into Sunday at all?
Nah, just for me, I just feel like my fuel's always been trying to be the best player. And, when you got a good team and you got to beat them and you got to show up in a primetime game, this is a moment that you got to be your best player for yourself, for your team, and, everyone there.
How do you make it just another game? I mean, them trading you was the biggest story of the year in the NFL. How do you personally make it just another game?
Well, I just personally, just knowing me, once the game starts, who's going to be worried about any trade? It's just me against them 5 men in front of me, you know what I mean? And then we got one common goal, and that's to win the football game. And how we win the football game is winning the line of scrimmage and affecting Dak and how good he's been playing this year. So I think, the fans, the media is going to get off on the pre-draft, the hype and all that. But once the game's, ain't no one talking about the trade. We're talking about winning a football game.
Michael, what do you think? What kind of reception do you expect to get from the fan base there?
I think Dallas loves me. I think they're going to give me a good round of applause. And, there's no hard feelings there, at least for me. And I think it's going to be, like I said, it's going to be a great atmosphere. I think, this is some of the best football you're going to get in Dallas when it's Sunday night against, a rivalry opponent.
Have you talked to any of the guys from Dallas at all since you've been gone, or maybe this week?
I still talk to Trey. Me and Trey tap in at least once a week. I talked to CD recently just on his injury and, keeping his spirits. So I told him it's like a freaky way because I got hurt week 3 last year on a high ankle sprain too. So, I'm just praying for him and, hoping he comes back soon because I told him, I said, the standard, at least need 1,000 yards regardless of how many weeks you are, the standard is the standard. So we both, talk about that, that's my brother. And, obviously the D linemen, I talk to them quite a bit. Those just being my guys. And, so I still have my relationship ties there.
How many tickets did you get for this game?
I still got my suite. There, so I was good on tickets.
If there was any fuel for this game, how much just motivation has this group been trying to find from that Week 3 loss against the Browns?
I think at the end of the day, it's about resetting and rebuilding. The Bears game is what it is. Like, we can't go back and turn the corner on that page, but we got a good chance to go into a bye with a win, and it's the utmost importance that we come in dialed and focused, doing all the little things to make sure we don't give away another game. Having a lead like that in the fourth quarter and end up losing that game the way we did, that's painful. So what we got to do is just relock in and win this one.
So you couldn't get a refund on your suite from?
Nah, no refunds.
You booked it for the whole year?
Yeah, no refunds.
How many people do you have there, do you think?
Hmm?
How many people will you have in the suite, do you think?
The suite's going to be packed out for sure. Forever. And trust me, I got a big suite. So,
have you ever actually set foot in the visitors' locker room in that stadium before?
Nah, never. Well, honestly, no, I don't think so. Honestly, not.
I was just curious.
How much can you use your knowledge of their offense and their offensive line to your guys' advantage this week?
Well, I think it gives me an advantage because, like I said, I know how these guys play. I know how they want to play. I know the identity that they wanted to create. And so I just got to use that to my advantage. It's funny because, I spent all training camp helping these guys and teaching them how to block me and just things like that. So it's just going to be a fun matchup. I know he's not going to text me this week, but he might hit me up after the game, and that's just to me, he's like a little brother to me, and he know that, and there's not anything I won't help him on. So just going to compete against him live, I think he's going to, he's just as anticipated as me.
Out of curiosity, did you and Kenny Clark ever have a chance to talk, or did you guys ever reach out at all?
Yeah, I had reached out to him just on the suite, see if he wanted to trade, things like that, and just hope this isn't disrespectful to you or anything, But I reached out to him though, for sure.
Have you and Jerry Jones communicated at all since you got here?
Nah, I mean, I never even heard from Jerry Jones himself when I even got traded. I found out through my agent. I haven't talked to Jerry Jones since OTAs. So, it's just one of those things.
How much differently have the Cowboys look offensively since Coach Schottenheimer took over these first 3 weeks? And how much are they going to miss CD in this game?
Well, I think anybody who don't got a CD Lamb don't know what it's like to not have a CD Lamb more than us. And we dealt with that last year. So I think the offense is completely different without CD Lamb. I don't think, me personally, he's my favorite wide receiver in the NFL. I just think the way he carries himself, the way he plays with so much heart, so much grit, his catching ability. And I tell him all the time, he's my favorite wide receiver. And he's an amazing person to watch. So I'm honestly excited that he's not going to be out in that field because it would have been painful to understand who I was going against. But like I said, I think the offense is a little bit differently. It's going to require other guys to step up. But obviously the offense looked different. When you're watching that film, they were a really explosive offense from week 1 to 3 with CD on the field. And obviously you kind of see a difference. But you can't game plan your best player going out. So we're going to get a different game plan than Chicago got that second half.
What do you like about rushing over centers and guards?
Well, to me, I just feel like it's not just the centers and guards. I just feel like we're creating matchups, and I feel like I'm the best player against all of them. It don't matter left, right, left guard, right guard. Some guys, I think their numbers drop at different positions, but sustainably, whether it's your best player versus my, I think, I'm winning those matchups. So I just think my percentages go a little bit higher when I'm over them too.
Usually when a player returns to a team they gave so much for, they do a tribute. Jerry said he wasn't going to do that for you. Do you find that is a little disrespectful?
No, there's a lot of things I can consider disrespectful throughout this process, but I wouldn't say the tribute is one of them. I would say, I just think, there's hard feelings maybe there for them. But, for me, I'm happy where I'm at. And we got a really good football team. So I guess I can give you my tribute and a win, I hope.
Michael, when you were saying you were helping, I'm assuming you were talking about one of the offensive linemen. Who were you talking about specifically? The guy you won't talk to this week.
Yeah, Guyton, I mean, Nate Thomas. I mean, there wasn't a guy I wasn't helping out. I mean, T-Book. I mean, I was being a mentor and voice for all of them, and they know that. I mean, just the relationships. I mean, I came in with all of them, and I took them under my wing. So, those is like brothers to me always. So, I know what the relationship's like.
I know you said it's just another game, but seriously, what would it mean to you have to make the game-changing play on Sunday, whether it's a sack fumble in the first half or the clinching sack or whatever it is?
I mean, bro, I look for those games every week. I was hoping I'd get to the quarterback last week. It's great when you do it, and it sucks when you don't. So I won't bank on me trying to make that play. I mean, I try every play to make that type of play. That's why, they brought me here. That's why my value was so high, because I make those type of plays. But, I just got to do that. Like, I just got to be me. I got to know when my opportunity is going to come. And we got played 3 phases of football for that to happen. Like, people don't realize how hard it is to get sacks in the NFL. We all don't get freebies. At least I'm out of that world. So, I got to work for them. So I got to work. I got a great challenge in front of me. I know they're not going to make it easy for me. I know that, they got a plan for me, but, it's not about me. If they worry about me, I got other guys. I got DY, I got Carl, I got Rashawn, who's dominating this year. So, we got a group of guys that they need to focus on. So I have that to my advantage.
What makes Dak such a difficult quarterback for a guy that obviously knows him really well?
Yeah. I think that is so good because he's overly confident, and he believes he can make every throw. And I think 90% of the time he does do that. Like, he does. And you want your quarterback to have that mentality. And I just think, he's a person who's very resilient, and he's determined. And, I never would bet against him, Yeah.
There you go. That's Michael Parsons talking to the media, and some interesting comments there. But let's do this when we come back. It's that time. We're gonna make some picks, and hopefully they're a lot better than what they were last week. Stay tuned. We're gonna start going around the NFL. That's coming up next to the Bill Michaels Huddle.
Oh, yeah. This is the Huddle with Bill Michaels on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Bill Michaels Huddle. There you have it. And now we get into it as we start to take a look around the rest of the National Football League. There you have it. What do we got, Grant?
Well, just for the record, you were 2 picks over 500, and I'm sitting at 500
Shut up.
even.
I'm
so
total on the season.
Total. Not
I thought you were
last
going to
week.
say last week. I'm like, holy crap, there's no way.
No, last week you hit 7 of 16. I hit 6 of 16. So not a miserable week, but that brings us down. You a little closer to 500. I'm at 500 exactly. So we need a nice week. We start with Thursday Night Football. Seattle, which is quietly had a nice little start to the season. They're favored by 1.5 in Arizona.
I'm going to take Seattle on the road. I know it's tough. They already 64% of teams that go on the road. You know what? No, I'm not. I'm going to take the Cardinals. I don't want to, but it would be the seventh game in a row for Kyler Murray with a touchdown pass. He has 200-plus passing yards and a touchdown and a quarterback rating of 100 in 3 of his 4 career Thursday night starts. He's been pretty good. You know what's really odd is Marvin Harrison Jr. is not really lighting it up the way we thought he would. But I still have faith in just them getting it done. Calais Campbell already a couple of sacks on the season, been pressuring quarterbacks. I think Sam Darnold's good. He's better than Kyler Murray. I like Smith and Jigba. But it's so tough for me to pick a team on the road on a Thursday night. So I'll go with the Cardinals at home at State Farm Stadium.
I will as well. I like Kyler more than Darnold. I get the points, and I'm at home, so I will take the Cardinals. Minnesota is playing Pittsburgh. They're not at Pittsburgh. The game is in Dublin. Sunday morning. Minnesota favored by 2.5.
Really? Here's the thing. Remember when Aaron Rodgers was going to Dublin, Ireland last time? or was it London or wherever the hell they were going? And Matt LaFleur's like, it's a business trip. And he's like, no, I want to go out and enjoy the pubs and see the people.
He did tell Brooke Pryor, ESPN today, he's looking forward to having a Guinness. It's his favorite beer.
Yep. I'm going to go Minnesota to get the win. I just don't believe in the defense of the Steelers right now. They're not doing enough to get it done. I love what TJ Watt can do. 4 tackles for loss already on the season. Nick Herbig's been really good. Rodgers, his passer rating's good. Carson Wentz had a hell of a week last week, and that defense was tenacious. Just because the better defense is going with Minnesota, I'm going to pick Minnesota on the road.
I'm as well. I just trust that coaching staff more, which is crazy to say of a Tomlin coach team. Brian Flores has always given Rodgers trouble as well, so I'll take the Vikings to cover the 2.5. Washington is in Atlanta. We go to the noon slate. Now, we're not sure about Jaden Daniels. He said today that the doctors are going to have to decide to clear him, which doesn't exactly sound promising, but let's just pick it as if Jaden Daniels is going to play and Washington's favored by 1.5.
Didn't Penix get benched last week?
Oh, yeah.
They didn't score a point.
They got blasted.
They just got destroyed. And I really thought they'd be relying a lot on Bijan Robinson. He's got 239 yards rushing, 164 yards receiving, 403 total yards. But they're not scoring points. No matter what, I got to go with Washington in this one on the road.
Yeah, I think I do too. For all the reasons that you mentioned, I can't pick Atlanta after what I saw last week. Another noon game. I want you to guess. Do you have the spreads in front of you?
I don't. No. I've got the games, but I don't have the spreads.
The Saints are in Buffalo to play the Bills. What do you think the spread is?
10.
It's 15.5.
And I am going to take Josh Allen and the Bills to cover.
I am too.
I'm going to take him to cover. 15.5. Yeah, he's going to eat. They're going to eat up Spencer Rattler. Alvin Kamara can only do so much. He's only got 233 yards from the line of scrimmage so far this year. Other than Carl Granderson on defense, they really don't have a lot other than Cameron Jordan. I'm going to go with the Bills to win and cover, and they will go to 4-0 at Highmark Stadium.
I will as well. We're picking together so far, at least. Cleveland is in Detroit. Big win for the Browns. Big win for the Lions. Lions on a short week. The Lions favored by 9.5.
I'm going to take Cleveland to cover.
Oh,
Cleveland to cover. That defense was impressive. They got some juice coming out of their win. Detroit flying high right now after 2 basically ass-kicking wins. Maybe this is a comeback. I still think Detroit wins the game, but I think Cleveland covers in this one. I think they cover in this one.
I will take Detroit to cover. I would be excited about picking either side. That's going to be a fun game to watch. I'm interested to see how it
that
goes.
Defensive front has gotten dramatically better. Joe Flacco's a statue compared to what they just dealt with in Lamar Jackson. So if Joe Flacco doesn't get a lot of quick outs and Judkins can't run the ball, it will be a long day. But something tells me Cleveland got a little juice. Maybe they come back and play a little different on the road in Detroit. But if Detroit gets up early, it'll be a blowout.
Carolina's at New England. The Patriots at home favored by 5.5. Just for reference, Tetuera McMillan missed practice today with a calf injury. So
Ted McMillan is out. Carolina coming off of a win.
A big win.
A big win this past week.
Probably their biggest win in that franchise in 2 or 3 years, maybe.
Who is New England favored by how much?
5.5. Big number.
Oh,
for that team.
Yeah. I'll take New England to win, but I'm going to take Carolina to cover. I'm not a fan of Bryce Young at all. And Drake May, he's got a decent quarterback rating, 5 touchdowns, 2 picks.
A lot of fumbles. Loves fumbling.
I'll take New England to win and Carolina to cover.
I'll take New England to cover. I think Vrabel's a good coach. Haven't really seen the impact in New England yet. A lot of penalties, a lot of turnovers. I feel like his coaching manifests at some point. I guess I'll pick this weekend. There's some big numbers here. The Chargers are at the Giants at MetLife, and they are favored by 6.5. Remember Jackson Dart's first start?
Yeah. I'm going to take the Chargers to cover. Chargers to win.
Begrudgingly?
Yeah, begrudgingly. Chargers are just playing really good football. And Justin Herbert, man, 6 touchdowns, only 1 pick. Quarterback rating of 105.5. His completion percentage is up around 67 now. Everything that you thought of him, he's now doing, which is absolutely positively fantastic. So I'll take the Chargers to win and cover.
I will. I'll take the Chargers too. I can't bet on Jackson Dart and Brian Dable. I just won't let myself. This is maybe my favorite game of the weekend. The Eagles are at Raymond James to play the Bucks, and they're favored by 3.5.
Man, did they get? Did the Bucks get their wide receiver back? I can't think of it.
Godwin's back at practice, but Evans, I think, is hurt. Let me check.
Yeah, Mike Evans was down. They were talking
Hamstring.
about whether or not he would be there. I didn't think he would. Because they're going to need all hands on deck to beat the Eagles. I'm going to go with the Eagles. I'll go with the Eagles to win and to cover. I just, as much as I think Tampa, every time I pick Tampa Bay and I start to believe in Baker Mayfield, he screws me. So I'm going to go with the sure thing. The defending champs, they're undefeated. Jalen Hurts is 3 touchdowns, no picks. Got a quarterback rating of 100. Saquon Barkley, though, is not running the way he did last year. That offensive line's still a little bit of a work in progress trying to get it all together. They'll get the ball to A.J. Brown a few more times in this contest. I'm going to go with the Eagles to win.
Fire the cannons. I got the Bucks. They play the Eagles well. And, they're without Mike Evans. But if they get Godwin back and Ibuka, he's been really good.
Yeah.
And I feel like Philly might just be due to lose one of these games. We'll see. We should have both gotten the Rams pick, by the way, right last week, if not for a returned field goal at the very end. Like, that was BS. Last noon game, and then we can take a break. Tennessee is in Houston. Houston 0-3, but favored by 7.5. God, what a miserable matchup.
CJ Stroud looks terrible.
He looks awful.
He looks terrible. But Cam Ward looks worse. So I'll take Houston, but Tennessee covers.
Tennessee's got a new play caller. Brian Callahan relinquished play calling duties, which 3 weeks into your second year as a coach does not feel like a good sign.
No.
I'll take Houston. I wouldn't bet that game with my real money, but for picks, I'll take Houston. And that's it for the noon games. We can do the rest when we come back.
All right, let's do this. We'll step out. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back, and hopefully we're making you some money along the way. Stay tuned. We got a whole lot more of the Bill Michaels Huddle on a Wednesday night, just kind of enjoying things tonight, just having a good time. More coming up next.
Here we go. This is the Huddle with Bill Michaels on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. We continue our picks in the huddle tonight. Grant Bills, I'm Bill Michaels. Glad you're on board this evening. Hopefully you're writing all this stuff down with maybe money you have to lose. I don't know. All right.
Put any important money on this stuff.
Back at it. Here we go. What do you got?
3:30. This is a fun game. Indy is in Los Angeles. Colts at the Rams. Sean McVay and the Rams favored by 3.5.
I am going to take the Rams. Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, that's become a pretty good duo. They already have almost 600 yards of offense and a couple of touchdowns, Devontae Adams, although Puka Nacua hasn't dented the end zone as of yet. So I'm going to, but I'll tell you this, Jonathan Taylor's been impressive. He's got 431 yards already from the line of scrimmage. He's got 1 receiving touchdown, 3 rushing touchdowns. He's been the man. And Daniel Jones is playing. Daniel Jones' quarterback rating for this season, 3 touchdowns, no picks, 71% completion percentage, and a quarterback rating of 111.7. It's going to be a good game, but I'll take the Rams at home.
Bill, you might as well call me Sister Sledge because we are Ramily. I like the Rams on stupidest thing I've ever said. Sunday afternoon.
Oh, my God.
I like the Colts. I think this is the game where somebody finally beats them.
Right.
Another 3 o'clock game. This will be the one that nobody watches. Jacksonville at San Francisco. The Niners favored by 3.5. Mac Jones revenge game, by the way.
Yeah.
Mac Jones, I forgot he was on the Jags.
I'm going to take, what are the San Francisco favored by?
3.5.
I'll take San Francisco to cover. First of all, it's very hard to go from all the way. They're going from the lowest corner of the continent up to the upper corner of the continent.
Good point.
And it's tough to travel that way. So you're already kind of behind the 8 ball. I like Mac Jones and what he's done, yada, yada, great. But they lost Bosa. That's a big guy to lose. And for the rest of the season in their defense, it makes me nervous. But I'll take San Francisco at home.
I will as well. Even with Mac Jones, they've shown me that they can beat lesser teams, especially at home the last couple of weeks. So I'll trust San Francisco to cover 3.5. I think big picture, their chance is really hurt by Bosa. But Baltimore, Kansas City, man, things are not getting easier for the Chiefs. The Ravens favored by 2.5 on the road.
I am going to take the Ravens. I think they are going to come back with a focused vengeance. Their defense was exposed a little bit, but they still, other than Travis Kelce, they don't have, he's got 10 catches, 134 yards, and a touchdown. Also, one bounced in the hands and ended up getting picked off, and that sealed the fate a couple of weeks ago. But I watched that game the other night. They don't have anybody. Their defense is good. It's not great, but they don't have anybody, man. And I got a sense that Derrick Henry, after that fumble in the fourth quarter, is going to run wild. I'm going to take Baltimore on the road to win and cover, and that would put Kansas City at 1-3. And I said this year that the postseason to the AFC Championship run, that's over. It's not going to happen for Kansas City this year. I don't care when they get their guys back, Rashee Rice and everybody. I just think it's over. I think they're digging a hole really early.
Call me crazy. I like the Chiefs in the spot. Don't know why. Just seems like the week that they do something stupid. And the Ravens will probably do something stupid like they normally do. So I'll take Kansas City. Excited to see. Chicago is in Las Vegas. The Bears favored by 1.5.
Man, that's crazy. I'm going to take the Bears. I don't like saying that because it bothers me when I do. And they let me down every time I do. But I'll take the Bears. I don't have a lot of faith in Geno Smith. 4 touchdowns, 4 picks. Can you believe Caleb Williams has 7 touchdowns and 1 interception and a quarterback rating of 107.6?
Say what you want about Caleb Williams. He doesn't turn the ball over. He doesn't throw picks. He takes awful sacks.
Yes.
He makes a mess sometimes,
Yes.
but he doesn't put the ball in harm's way.
But Adunze's got 4 touchdowns already and 227 yards. I'll take the Bears. It looks like things might be coming together for the Bears. I'll take the Bears.
I will take the Bears as well. I've been disappointed with the Raiders. 2 Monday night games we'll do quick before the Packers. Jets are in Miami. The Dolphins favored by 2.5. Jets are 0-3. Both teams 0-3.
I'm going with the Jets. Jets on the road. I want to see Allen do another dance down the sideline, and they had that game last week, and they let it get away. I think they're due, and I just want to see Miami just be just awful. And Tyrod Taylor is their quarterback in New York. It's like, come on, man. If you can't beat Tua with an 87, he's 5 touchdowns, 4 picks. Nothing down there looks good. Tyreek Hill's pissed off. I'm going with the Jets on the road.
I will as well. The other Monday night game, Cincinnati is in Denver, and the Broncos, who have looked fine, they're 1-2. I think most people think they're better than that. They're favored by 7.5.
And I am going to take them to win and cover. Denver is by far a better football team. Cincinnati's defense sucks. Their offense was terrible. Jake Browning, he had 2 picks in that game. One of them returned for a pick 6. And their defense sucks. I'm just going to take Denver all day long.
If Denver doesn't look very good in this game, then we have to have a Broncos conversation. Right. I will take Denver as well. Give me the Packers music as we make our picks finally here. The Packers are in Dallas. They're favored by 6.5. What do you think?
I'm going to take the Packers to win and cover. And if they don't win and cover this week, I won't take them the rest of the year.
Oh,
I just won't. You got an absolutely terrible defense in Dallas. Now, the only thing that can concern you is the offensive line. But if you don't fix the problems that we witnessed this past week and the same things happen, I think that Micah Parsons is going to have a huge day. I think Dak Prescott's going to be running for his life. It doesn't matter what Dak Prescott does. The offense stinks. And if Jordan Love doesn't look good against this terrible offense after what we just saw Caleb Williams do, I will start to really – you know how we said earlier the jury's still out? I'll think the jury is still out on Jordan Love.
They're even farther out. I like that.
Right.
I like the Packers as well in this spot.
Yep.
I think when that happens, last week becomes an anomaly. They go into the bye and things level out a bit. That's what I envision. I hope, and I'll pick it.
That's it. That was a fast 2 hours. Holy mackerel. So there you got it. Let's do this. We're going to go ahead and get out of here. We'll be back at it again tomorrow. Grant's show. And also tomorrow, you're heading out to La Crosse tomorrow, right?
I'll be at Flipside 4 to 6 tomorrow night. Yep.
4 to 6 tomorrow night. There you have it. So we'll talk to you tomorrow during the daytime show, 10 to 2. Grant will talk to you tomorrow night. And then we'll all be in La Crosse partying and oompahing around. Time for us to go. Have a go.